Hey, welcome back to the show, guys. So today it's a little bit of an interesting one. I don't actually have any guests on the show. I don't have any guests on the call. So it is also the first week that VMware is back in the office in Singapore. So that makes it a little bit challenging to have guests because, as you may know, with COVID, there is a team A, team B thing, and we are not supposed to meet each other. And a lot of the good mates who has been on the show are on the opposite team. So hence, yeah, we can't meet. And so you have me for today. Nonetheless, I want to kind of discuss a little bit of an interesting topic today. So the topic that I'm going to discuss today particularly is around promotions and increments. So this topic is very, very close to my heart. I mean, who doesn't like a promotion and pay increment? I'm quite sure everybody do. And likewise for me, I love dishing out those opportunities as well as a promotion or increments whenever I can. But, with everything else, there is always a good way of doing it, and there is also a bad way of doing it. Let's talk about the good stuff. So with any promotion, as you would imagine, it's a great morale booster. It is also an opportunity for us to reward our top performers, people that really, really deserve it. As much as it is great to be on the receiving end of it, it is also fantastic to be the one giving it. And this is really, really true, at least for me. And I'm quite sure for many, many managers out there as well. However, for some of the managers who have done this before, I'm quite certain that you are also aware it is not necessarily the easiest thing to do. So when I say it's not the easiest, what do I really, really mean by that? It may seem like not much to the people on the receiving end, but for those managers who have gone through a cycle and had challenges, picking up the right people to promote or maybe to have an increment, you definitely understand where I'm coming from. So for those who have not experienced it, let me kind of share with you some of the challenges or difficulties we have as managers when putting somebody up for promotion. Firstly, with most organizations, I'm quite sure we've been through a cycle where, you check all the boxes, you do all the right things, you meet all the expectations, and you obviously expect a promotion / increment. And that never happens. And you become very, disappointed, you become dejected, and you wonder what the heck's gone wrong. So what exactly is happening on the manager's side of the fence? As you can see, sometimes it is not so simple. Assuming that you are a top performer and likewise you have another top performer in your team. So how do you know how much to allocate to individual A or individual B? And sometimes it's a massive, massive difficulty for the manager to determine who gets more. And then it comes down to checks and balances. But sometimes it's also very, very challenging part because I'm quite sure we have all been in an organization where there isn't, to begin with, a structure. So what exactly is this structure, you may say? So for example, do A, B, and C, and D, get a promotion. Or do A, B, C, D, get an increment. But does it always work that way though? So back to my earlier example, you can have done all those and not get it. And, in some organizations I've worked for, it is a highly, highly subjective exercise. So it comes down to as simple as, the bosses probably don't like you. You can do everything in your power and check all the boxes and yet still not get it just because somebody somewhere didn't quite like what you said maybe 2 weeks ago. The other issue with a lot of organizations today is we tend to reward people or promote people in the wrong category. So I mean, what exactly am I talking about here? So if I were to put it into a spectrum, let's say, on the y-axis, I have performance, and then on the x-axis, I have, say, teamwork or something along those lines. It is not uncommon to say the best candidate you want to kind of promote and you want to put someone up there is definitely the guy on the far top right. But unfortunately, sometimes, of course, it's a given you want to promote the guy in the far top right, but we also always reward or tend to reward the people on the top left, which is high in performance, but generally, for no better word, the asshole in the company. And that's very, very true because a lot of organizations see results as performance, as quota, as sales numbers, and along those lines. But you see, the thing is, if you go to any organization and you ask, who's the top performer, but who's an asshole, I'm quite certain they almost always point to the right people and the same guy all day long, right? And likewise, you on a good day, if you really kind of touch your heart and ask yourself, who is the guy that you most love and most like to have in your organization, it'd probably be the one on the top right, understandably, far right corner. But if not, the guy who is slightly somewhere in the middle here, right, where you have very good team player, but not as much of a high performer. But unfortunately, this guy is almost always never going to get a promotion. As managers, I really urge you guys to really think about it hard. Look at your organization and see if we can do things better. Just because the organization is doing as such doesn't always mean that we have to follow the same path. We can make a change. Another thing that oftentimes plagues a lot of managers is tenure versus merit. How many times have you had to promote somebody, or you've seen companies promote somebody because he's been in the company the longest? It just makes no sense. So my question to you guys, and you guys can leave a comment below as well, does tenureship promotions or merit-based promotion valid today? I personally am a big advocate for merit-based promotion. It's not to say that I don't believe in tenure. I believe there's some level of tenureship and experience that plays into it, but it doesn't make you a better player being in a company for 10 years and somebody has contributed double what you have done in 3. So to make it very short and snappy, what can we do better as managers? First, I would like to urge everyone, and I mean everyone, including employees as managers alike, transparency is king. So what I mean when I say transparency is king, always be very clear on what you expect of your employee. So if your employee hits those checkboxes and it's up for promotion, be also very transparent to tell them if you are able to give it to them. I agree, right? It's not all the time when your employees hit the mark, you get a promotion. And there's a lot of factors that boil into this. For example, the budgets, right? How well the business is doing as a collective and everything else in between, right? But I feel that open communications between the employee and the manager makes a big difference when it comes to times like this. And like I said earlier, sometimes, the organizations you work for may not always believe in the same principles that you do. So don't try to boil the ocean or, try to control something that is beyond you. I'll take a saying from Simon Sinek that says this, right? If you cannot change your leader, don't bother changing it. But be the leader you wish you had. And that is generally a good start to anything. The second part that we can do better is to have empathy. What do I mean by empathy? Generally, when you get passed over for a promotion and an increment, it's not exactly the best feeling in the world. Have that transparent discussion with your employee. Tell him or her why they didn't get considered for it. Was it a budget issue? Was it, something they kind of missed, or they kind of, didn't fulfill everything? Because a lot of times, as employees, we always think that we have done, everything, right? Or we have checked all the boxes, but maybe in the manager's perspective, we didn't. So it's probably also a good practice that you as managers or us as managers share that feedback with the employee. At the end of the day, they are humans as well. They understand that we may not necessarily not want to give it to them. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, we would love to provide an increment, a pay rise or whatever it is. But assuming that it's in times of, pandemic where you have bad sales, company isn't doing too well, I think employees generally are not unreasonable if we are being transparent. And lastly, I believe in, continuous validation. Again, coming back to the point of empathy, we are all, humans, and we love a little pat on the back every now and then. I mean, promotions and increments are the ultimate pat on the back because it impacts us directly, impacts our pocket, we get a little bit of spare cash to use. But on a good day, just a simple thank you actually goes a long way. A lot of organizations are now taking it a step further as well because, obviously it's a difficult time. Not everybody can afford a promotion or increment, but, just simple thank you cards, e-cards, small gifts, man, those kind of stuff actually really work. Personally, for me, I would actually go to the extent of saying this: if you can afford it, take it out from your own pocket. It doesn't mean a reward needs to come up from a company to mean something. Sometimes little gestures from the manager, be it, a nice lunch with the team, or a simple offsite or potluck kind of event actually makes things better. I've actually experienced it. I loved it when my bosses in the past did it. So I'm pretty sure that it will work for most. So with that, that's my little rant for this time around. It's a very short one. I just wanted to get something out there today. If you have any comments or thoughts, please leave them below. And as always, if you think the content is useful, do subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.